Last video was all about the struggles. Nah, mate. Nah. There's some positives. Yesterday, I nearly cut my hair back to short. This video, I'm going to go through the 8 reasons why I decided to keep it long. Number 1. If you've got it, you should be flaunting it. Think about it like this, right? It's known that by the age of 35, 66% of men will have experienced some degree of hair loss. So why, when you've got the opportunity to grow hair, and why, when you've actually got the opportunity to do something with it, would you not just try once just to see what long hair actually look like on you? Because think about it. It could be an untapped resource of aestheticness that you're yet to show off. Number 2, and I think this is going to be one of the more interesting ones to discuss, and that is, do women find men with long hair attractive? Now, if you were to go on YouTube and you were to do a search for most attractive men's hairstyles, or what hairstyles do women like in a man, you'd probably see a lot of videos. And most of those videos would really consist of very much the same haircuts. So for example, you'd see a side part, or you'd see something like a grown out buzz cut. And the reason you'll see those haircuts is because, number 1, they'll suit any hair type. And number 2, they'll suit the vast majority of men because they're much safer, more middle of the road haircuts. And just as an example, not every single man will have a job where he can go into work with long hair and be taken seriously. So you can't really recommend long hair for that type of guy. But in terms of whether women find it attractive, I think some definitely do, because I think there's not a lot more attractive than somebody who's A, very comfortable with themselves, and B, very comfortable with their own style, and who really knows themselves and knows their style as a result of that. So I think if you've got the confidence to really commit to long hair and really make it work for you, a lot of women will definitely find that very attractive. And the other side of that as well is that once you get into having long hair, you almost become a type, and that will be a type that some women will find insanely attractive, and that attraction will be further amplified by the fact that it's not the norm and it's not something that's seen on the day-to-day. Number 3, it's a chance to really own your own style. So by that I mean, if you were to flick on British TV and you were to watch something like Love Island, most of the guys on there would all sport very similar styles and very similar haircuts. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. And obviously those are considered to be very attractive people, hence why they're on the programme in the first place. But by having the confidence to grow your hair a little bit longer, you're kind of stepping away from that, and you're kind of just going to look a little bit more like an individual in your own right. And I think there's actually not a lot more liberating than when you actually are a little bit different and you're fully comfortable in that. It's kind of, I suppose, that you kind of begin to shake off a little bit that idea of kind of caring about what people think. And I think once you can do that, it's actually kind of liberating just to think, actually, do you know what? Fuck it. Like, I want to do that. Like, look at my nose as an example. Like, I am well aware that some people do not like a man with a nose ring. And I'm well aware that some people think, why has he got his nose pierced? But to be honest, I'm kind of actually now at a point where I think I'm not really too bothered what people actually think about that. And that's liberating and that's exciting just to be comfortable within that. Number 4, getting ready can sometimes be really easy. Let me demonstrate for you now. This is what my hair looks like when I wake up first thing in the morning. That's what I have to do to get it ready for work. Number 5, you save a lot of money on haircuts. I was thinking about this the other day and I was actually talking about it yesterday. If you're a barber in this day and age, you are absolutely laughing because modern day men's haircuts are such high maintenance to maintain. If you think that some guys have to go in maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to get their lines cut back in their hair or to keep their fade still on point, that's like 60 quid a month just on getting your hair cut, which is crazy money. In the 2 years that I've been growing my hair, I've been to the barber 4 times. And that's really only ever been to A, get my beard shaped a little bit more, and B, just to get the split ends cut out. Now, you probably should go a little bit more than that. And if I'm being honest, when I went yesterday and I had some of the ends taken out, I was actually quite shocked at the condition that my hair was in because I had really let it kind of go a little bit. But it still doesn't change the fact that if you're growing your hair, you're looking at going to the barber maybe once every 3 to 4 months. And each time you go, it will look just that a little bit better because there'll be some layers cut in and there'll be a little bit more style shaped back in. And it's still so much cheaper than having to go once every 2 weeks just to keep your fade trim. Number 6, it will help keep your head warm. I've had a skinhead, I've had short hair, I've had a fade. And to be honest, the common theme of all of those has been that during winter times, I've actually had really cold ears. Now I've got this long hair, it's a lot less cold. And it's a lot nicer in the winter times to not have to walk around going, oh, geez, mate, my ears are kind of cold, you know. So you got the long hair to protect it. Keep it, mate. Keep it. It's like being in the Revenant or something. Number 7, if you're a man with long blonde hair, people tell you look like Thor. If you're a man with long brown hair, people tell you look like Jesus. One of those is the God of Thunder. The other one's the Son of God. What more alpha comparisons can you get than that? Number 8, and I'll end on a slightly more serious note than the last few ones that I came up with. But for me, growing my hair long has really helped me disengage and not care so much what other people think of me. So when I reflect back and I think of what I was like back when I had short hair and back before I decided to grow it, I was very concerned with what other people thought of me. I was very concerned with how other people perceived the way that I looked. And I was very kind of concerned with consistently staying kind of on point and trying to keep my style relevant. And whilst there's not anything really wrong with doing that, it can be quite kind of, I suppose, debilitating to always trying to be conforming to social norms and social stigmas. And by growing my hair, not only have I stepped away from that because I've now got the confidence to kind of express my individuality and my own style a little bit more, I've also had to have a kind of a very minor, be it, but a slightly almost kind of like character growth phase during the growing process, because you get to a point where people tell you to get your hair cut so much, or you get to a point where people make these unflattering comparisons about what you look like so much that when you actually get to the end of it, you're quite thick-skinned and you actually kind of think, do you know what, I'm really not that bothered. I'm really not that bothered what you think of me. And that for me is, as I touched on with a couple of the previous ones, that for me is firstly very liberating, but also it's quite exciting to actually think of how something so small as growing your hair can kind of take you on that little bit of a journey to get there. And that's pretty much it. 8 fairly good reasons. There is a wealth of content on YouTube to do with this topic. So if you've enjoyed this, I'd definitely have a search, because you'll probably find some far more informative videos than what I've just produced. But for me personally, these are the ones that have had the most resonance to me. So these are the ones that I decided to put into this video.